Kimberly. This is crazy. I mean, we know how we feel.
So
How you
messy
feel
for no
about Baker
reason.
Mayfield. Obviously, you love Baker, but
Love
he's in
him.
his feelings a little bit. So, who would you blame in this situation? Are you blaming the Browns, or are you going to blame Bake?
I just have one question. When it comes to who looks bad and do the Browns look bad for not honoring Baker's trade request? My only question is he under contract? Because he is. Okay, end of discussion. They don't have to do anything. In fact, the Green Bay Packers should actually have followed what the Browns did and said, no, Devontae, we're not trading you. That's it. No, you don't want to be here. We want you. You're stuck. Because that is the NFL business. And felt like I saw on social media, people were trying to liken the situation to, again, relationships, because I'm a former psych major. So people were trying to liken this to, oh, the Browns try to dip out, go see a next person, that person doesn't want him, and come back and make sure that things are good at home. You think the Browns are really worried about Baker's like, in all seriousness, the only thing I would tell Andrew Berry, the GM, is you should have just told Baker directly. Not because you had to, but because you know exactly who Baker is. We know who Baker is. He is sensitive. It's all about emotion with him, and he needs to feel special, right? So you should have just said to cut all this off at the pass. I hear you. You told his representatives, his camp, they knew, hey, top-tier quarterbacks are available. We're gonna explore that. That doesn't mean we don't like Baker, but we don't love him, because if we loved him, we would have given him a contract extension last year, which they didn't. But again, this is not to act like the NFL is about, unconditional love. The NFL is about open relationships. You are together until something better comes along. And that is what Baker has to understand, because that's why I don't fault players for going after what they want. You want money? Go get it. Because the minute your team feels like they can upgrade or find a cheaper option or a better option, they'll do that. But it's about leverage too. And Baker does not have leverage besides hurt feelings. And once he calms down and surveys the landscape, then I think cooler heads will prevail. Come on with it. Come on with it.
So you were a psychology major.
And an African-American studies double major, undergrad. Yes, sir.
I know the African-American doubles major. I mean, I got that part. I want to get back to the first part.
Yes.
You were a psychology major. That explains a lot, Kimberly.
I'm different.
That explains a lot.
Different, sir. Yeah.
I feel you on that. I got that around. I'm going to let that go. Psychology major, y'all, for future reference. Psychology major. Explains a lot.
Yes.
Now let me say this. Baker Mayfield, Marcus Spears said it earlier, got to know your place.
Right.
At the end of the day, when you look at Baker Mayfield, come on, bro. You 26 years old. That means when you were trying to make decisions for the organization, you were about 23. 23, 24. Just got in the league, wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac, and here you are going to tell them that Freddie Kitchens needed to be the next head coach of the franchise. And where did that get you? And so as a result, what we're seeing is Baker Mayfield has had 4 complete seasons in the National Football League. He had an 11-5 season the season before last, where they went to the playoffs and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was his best year, obviously. The other 3 seasons, he never won more than 6 games, each of those seasons. And he has a 29-30 record overall. Okay, so when we look at it from that perspective, that's not great. When you look at the Freddie Kitchens decision, that wasn't great. When you look at your willingness to be emotional and public with it, that doesn't work great for you. And then when you got into the whole brouhaha with Odell Beckham Jr., when Odell Beckham Jr.'s daddy had to go rogue and just, expose himself just to get his son the hell out of Cleveland, and it turned out to be a brilliant move, because he ends up in L.A. and he captures a Super Bowl championship for the first time in his career, although he got hurt. I believe if Odell Beckham Jr. had stayed healthy, he might have been an MVP of that game, because he was balling. And they were going to blow Cincinnati out of the building if Odell Beckham Jr. hadn't gotten hurt. So I look at it from this perspective, and I say to myself, you couldn't make that work, Baker Mayfield? You got to remember, this is something that I've religiously said about Baker Mayfield, outside of the fact that he's got more progressive commercials than wins. This is the one thing that I've said. And I'm not throwing shade on Baker Mayfield, because I like him. He's not a scrub. He can play. I happen to think he's a good guy. He's just opinionated and emotional,
Right.
and that's not a crime. I don't think he's a bad guy at all. And I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's a bit undersized. If he was taller, for example, I think he would have been more effective, but he's not, and that is what it is. What I would say about Baker Mayfield is this. Religiously, I have stated that when you think about the Cleveland Browns offense, the problem is your quarterback can't be your weak link.
Exactly.
The weak link wasn't the tight end. The weak link wasn't the offensive line. The weak link wasn't well, some people say at times the weak link was the offensive line. The weak link certainly was not your wideouts, and it damn sure wasn't your running game with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. We went to you. And when you are to any quarterback in the National Football League, here's all you need to know. When anybody looks at a team's offense and the quarterback is the weak link, that is a problem. The quarterback can't be the weak link of the offense. Like you might have, you might have situations, that's what Tennessee's going through now. Ryan Tannehill wet the bed, through the first pass of the game was an interception. Well, guess what the problem is? Not only did you have Derrick Henry, you had the dudes backing him up when he was out that still let them as a pretty damn good running game. You had A.J. Brown as your wide receiver. Julio Jones came back. So when you look at Tennessee, what's the weak link? The weak link is Ryan Tannehill. When you look at Cleveland, the weak link is Baker Mayfield.
Right.
That cannot be the case. Tennessee's not going anywhere. Cleveland's not going anywhere because the question that we have about those franchises are at the quarterback position.
Right.
That can't be the case.
Right. And that's the reason Cleveland didn't give him a long-term extension, because heading into this year, week 1 against the Chiefs, I was there. Fourth quarter, 1:09 to go. Baker throws a fourth quarter interception. They lose. The next week, Houston, he throws an interception, tries to make a tackle, injures himself, and then the rest of the season is, oh, I'm hurt, all this stuff. The Browns felt shaky about him before he even got hurt. And that, I think, is what Baker has to understand. He has not done enough on the field. This is a ready-made, potentially playoff roster. If he just does his job, just go back and win games, and that's it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.